Ngayong nagbabago ang buhay natin dahil sa technology, mas mabuting mag-tech ka muna. Pero teka muna, sandali. Bago po kayo mag-click o mag-like o mag-share, dapat merong extra care. Ako po si Monis Berto. Welcome sa isa na namang episode ng ating programang Teka Muna. Tayo po ay napapanood ng live sa 1PH Signal TV Channel 1 and we can also be seen live and on demand sa Facebook page and YouTube channel of 1PH. Magandang gabi mga kapatid. I hope na lahat po kayo ay nasa mabuting kalagayan. Alam nyo, medyo maulan-ulan for the past couple of days kaya medyo gloomy ang pakiramdam ng ilang mga tao. Kasama na diyan yung mga motorista at ating mga kababayan na nagko-commute dahil mukhang patuloy po ang pagtaas ng presyo ng gasolina at ng crudo. Tumaas na nga ang pamasahe sa mga jeepney at mukhang ito ay isang hindi panandali ang sitwasyon. Mukhang mga kapatid, this is something that we're going to have to deal with for some time dahil the prices of petroleum don't look like hindi siya basta-basta bababa for some time to come. Hindi po natin alam. Kaya, ang tanong, ano ang mga solusyon? Paano makakatulong ang technology para makahanap ng solusyon sa sitwasyon na ito? Kung pangmatagalan ito, ano ba ang magagandang pwedeng gawin ngayon? We'll take maraming pwedeng gawin, pero we'll take a look at two aspects of this important question. Ang isa, mag-introduce ng bagong transport technology sa public transport through the introduction and use of electric vehicles. Yeah. Matagal nang pinag-uusapan na ang EVs or electric vehicles pero hindi pa masyadong kumahagat yan sa public transport. Paano ba pwedeng gamitin yon? At makakatulong ba talaga yon? Mas mura ba yun? Mas efficient ba yun? Let's take a look at that. Yung second aspect naman ay on the other side, sa side ng commuters, no? Hindi ng sasakyan. Pwede bang katulad na nangyari ng COVID pandemic, mabawasan yung pangangailangan ng mga taong mag-commute dahil pwede na silang mag-work from home or mag-hybrid na merong papasok pero yung ilang araw hindi, no, nasa bahay lang sila. So babalikan natin yung work from home. Paano ba ito makakatulong sa sitwasyon natin ngayon? Yun po ang ating programa ngayon. And let's start first with the very interesting and colorful discussion on electric vehicles. Ito ba ang future of public transport? Nakakatulong ba talaga ito to make public transport more efficient and less costly for the transport companies and also for the commuters? We're very happy to help us discuss this issue. We have with us tonight, siya po ang president of a company that is now pioneering in the deployment of electric vehicles for public transport, Mr. Freddy Tinga, the president of Global Electric Transport. Good evening, Freddy. Welcome to the program. Hi. Freddy, yung audio mo, I think is off.
Yeah. Thanks Mon. Salamat Mon. At maraming salamat sa inyong pag-anyaya dito sa programa nyo. And I'm very happy to be part of this and to see you again. Thank you very much.
Okay, and we're very happy to see you, Freddy. And let's start off with this very interesting project that you have been undertaking for the past couple of years. Pero magsimula tayo with some basic information. Ano ba itong electric vehicle na ini-introduce nyo ng Global Electric Transport? Where have you tried this out sa iba't ibang lugar sa Pilipinas?
Yeah, so Mon, we've been doing this for quite a while, no? So nag-umpisa kami nito, hindi pa mga air-conditioned yung mga sasakyan namin. Ngayon, mga aircon na siya. We have 50 units on the road. Meron yan sa Davao, meron sa Cebu, meron dito sa Metro Manila, meron tayo sa mga lugar sa Calabarzon. At ang pagkakaiba po ng sasakyan natin ay hindi ito yung mga parang mga golf cart lang at hindi ito yung gumagamit lang ng mga tinatawag nating lead acid battery. Ito po, ang kapartner po natin dito ay isang kumpanya galing pa sa Barcelona, Spain. And what they do are they build Formula E vehicles, no? We just have these things manufactured in China because it's cheaper to manufacture there. Pero yung engineering po nito ay yung gumagawa ng mga Formula E vehicles, ito rin po ang kinuha namin para gumawa nito, no?
So
At
parang minibus ito, Freddy.
yes, minibus to. Ang sakay nito, pwedeng 20 nakaupo hanggang 10, minsan hanggang 15 nakatayo. So 30 to 35 people can fit into this. So sabi nga, swak na swak siya doon sa merkado ng sumasakay ng jeep o ng UB Express. Ito talaga yung magandang pampalit, no? At nakikita nga namin sa mahal ng presyo ng gasolina ngayon. I mean, you're seeing 90, 95 pesos for a liter of diesel. Lumalabas ang kada kilometro, if you're using diesel dun sa mga Euro 4 na bus, sa 29 pesos kada kilometro. So 29 pesos per kilometer ang gastos mo. With us, dahil kuryente ginagamit natin, ang halaga ng ginagastos mo sa 4 na piso hanggang 5 piso. So sabi na natin 5 piso.
Freddy, balikan na natin yun, just to make sure na narinig ng mga kababayan natin. Kung sa kwenta ninyo, kung ikaw ay gumagamit ng diesel, magkano ang ginagastos ng isang operator on a per kilometer basis? Magkano?
So on a per kilometer basis, they are spending about 29 pesos per kilometer on diesel. With electric, they're spending 4 pesos 50 with us. Now, so to put that in context, we are about 1/6 of the of the fuel cost.
Fuel cost.
We are one. So kahit mas mahal ang sasakyan namin, dahil mas mahal pa ngayon ng electric talaga, may konti kang babayaran na financing, lumalabas ang patakbo mo, ang operating cost mo ngayon ay mas mababa dahil mas mababa ang fuel cost ng electric, no? Sa aming mga pagsusuri at pagkausap sa mga jeepney operators na maglilipat sa mga sasakyan namin, ang gastos nila sa diesel ngayon higit 100,000 sa isang buwan.
Wow.
So, for context, kami, depende sa layo ng biyahe, we're doing anywhere from 18 to 22,000 pesos per month. So, yun ang gastos mo sa kuryente, ang diesel mo higit 100,000. So, it's just, sabi nga namin, let's just do the math. Yun ang pagkakaiba ngayon.
Okay. Laking, medyo nakakagulat.
Malaki talaga, Mon.
Well, kasi naman, dumoble nga yung presyo. Pero kahit hindi dumoble, lumalabas pa rin na, kumbaga, mababa pa rin yung cost ng ng operation, ng gas, fuel, no?
Yes.
The fuel side. Pero okay, pero hindi lang naman fuel ang usapan, hindi ba? Kasi kung sa merong makina, meron din electric engine yung EV, at mayroong mga baterya. If you look at the total operating cost, or rather total maintenance cost, is it still competitive kung mag-EV ka ngayon?
The maintenance cost for an EV is cheaper. So it's easier to maintain. It's a much simpler vehicle, no? Ang mahal lang talaga dyan is yung baterya. Kaya dito sa aming business model, kapartner kami ng mga transport operator, hindi na nila kailangan alalahanin yung pagpalit ng baterya. Sagot namin yan. So kung kailangan ng repair, maintenance, or replacement of the battery, that's part of our management contract. So kami, sinasubsidize namin yung halaga ng sasakyan. Ang kapalit nun, may revenue sharing kami. Pumoporsyento kami sa kita ng sasakyan, pumoporsyento rin kami sa kita ng advertising na nakaikot sa sasakyan. And then, sagot na namin kung kailangan magpalitan ng baterya. So, that is a huge difference because yan talaga ang kinakatakot ng mga jeepney operators ngayon. Okay, naintindihan nila na ito nga ang future natin, itong electric vehicle. Pero kung sasagutin nila yung pagpalit ng baterya, mahina-hina ang kalahating milyon dyan. No? So, this is the thing that we take the worries out from them. Ang sabi nga namin sa kanila, dito sa business model na to, pag lugi kayo, lugi kami. Kumikita lang kami pag kumikita kayo. So, yun ang pinakatayanan namin dito sa negosyo na to.
Pero Freddy, gusto ko balikan yung isang punto that you just raised. No? Sinasabi mo na maintaining an electric motor mas madali, mas simple kesa
Yeah.
sa conventional diesel or gasoline engine?
Yes.
Bakit ganun? Para lang sa maintindihan ng kababayan natin.
Well, I don't do this, no? Pero yung mga naglalaro ng mga racing, yung mga maliliit na electric racing cars, maintindihan nila to because we're really just a grown-up version of that. And kung titingnan mo, ang bilang ng pyesa ng isang electric vehicle ay asa daan lang yan. Kumpara mo sa mga internal combustion engine na libo-libo ang pyesa, kami napakakonti. At kung may masira man, tanggal, palit lang yan. No? So, it is really a much simpler vehicle. But of course, the key here is, again, the battery management systems, yung mga ganyan. But basically, everything else, it's just an electric motor. Kung nakakakita ka kung paano gumagana ang electric motor, kinakabit mo lang dalawang alambre, no, 2 wires. Parang gano'n na rin. I mean, it's a little more complicated than that. Pero pansinin mo, wala kang piston na kailangan palitan, wala kang even yung braking namin. Dahil meron kaming engine brake, hindi ka apak ng apak sa preno, pati yung brake pad namin mas tatagal kumpara sa pag gumagamit ka lang ng diesel, no? So, it's a lot of things, Mon, that we've made sure that the vehicle is simpler and easier to operate, but also more robust. Kasi ang problema dati ng mga lumalabas na mga electric vehicle, katulad ng sinabi ko kanina, parang golf cart lang, no? Wala talaga kasing gumagawa ng sasakyan na ganito na 20 hanggang 30 ang pwedeng sumakay. So you see people building electric cars or you're seeing them build big electric buses. But nobody is building anything in between. So diyan kami napilitan na maghanap ng partner at magpasadya ng sasakyan. Because otherwise, wala talagang gumagawa sa mundo ng ganitong klaseng sasakyan.
Well, focusing on that point, Freddy, interested ako dyan. Kasi yung nga, tama, ang nakikita ko, kung di kotse ay malalaking bus. Bakit nyo naisip na minibus ang i-deploy dito sa Pilipinas? Yan ba sa tingin ninyo ang mas magagamit sa mas maraming lugar?
Yes, and that is really the result of us living and growing up in the Philippines. Yung perspective natin, what we see here is really more reflective of what is the real world, no? I mean, we're not building this vehicle for Los Angeles, California. We're not building it for Paris, France. But if you look at the markets we're serving, Pilipinas, isa na yan, Metro Manila, pero tingnan mo ang the rest of Asia, tingnan mo ang Latin America, tingnan mo ang Sub-Saharan Africa, pare-parehong ginagamit nila. It's the microbus. Iba-iba lang ang pangalan. We call it the jeepney, they call it something else, no? Pero hindi tayo nagkakalayo sa kanila at kaya rin namin na kumbinse yung aming partner na kasi sa Pilipinas pa lang, ang merkado mo dito is siguro nasa kalahating milyon, maybe 500,000 units, no? No car manufacturer will go into a business na ang market mo 500,000 lang. Minimum yan, kailangan makabenta sila ng 100,000 kada taon. No? So this is not a market for a traditional car manufacturer because they won't build enough. But our partners understand that this is a starting point lang dito sa Pilipinas at kahit nga konti lang ang nailalabas natin, hindi naman natin hinahabol na magbenta ng napakarami. Ang hinahabol natin dito, efficiency on the road.
Okay.
The more people ride our vehicles, it means the less cars are out there. So we're trying to improve both the environment and the traffic situation. So our goal, Mon, is not to sell as many vehicles as possible, but to roll out an efficient number. Ilan lang ba talaga ang kailangan? At saka siguro nga, nakakatulong rin, galing ako sa local government dati, na you're really trying to provide a public service to people. No? So this is what we're trying to do.
O sige. But I want to ask something that, madalas, it almost always comes up sa electric vehicle ang pinag-uusapan. Paano ang charging? No? Kasi in other countries, ang ginagawa nila, nagdi-deploy sila ng ng network of charging stations. Pero dito sa Pilipinas, wala pa tayong ganun eh. So anong experience ng mga operators na sumali na dito sa ginagawa ninyo? How do they manage to charge their vehicles efficiently at makapagbigay ng serbisyo sa kanilang mga customers?
Alam mo, Mon, yun rin yung tanong namin eh. Paano yung charging? Tinanong rin namin sa sarili namin yan. No? And it is really a chicken and egg situation. Chargers ba or vehicles? Alin ba uunahin mo? At ang kasagutan dyan, you'll have to do both. And this is why the public transport scenario is really the right scenario for us. No? Dahil fixed route yan, alam mo yung ruta, maglagay ka lang ng charger sa kabilang dulo, ay pwede na. No? And so that's what we've been doing. We've been rolling out the chargers. Kami mismo naglalabas ng sasakyan, kami mismo naglalabas ng chargers, at pati yung app na pang-collect ng pamasahe, kami na rin yan. No? So talagang binuo na namin yung ecosystem dahil kung ilalatag mo itong solusyon na to at bitin at kulang-kulang, wala bitin eh. Hindi ka papatulan, hindi gagamitin ng ating mga kababayan, and you will come up with a very half-baked solution. So we had to go in and do the whole thing, Mon. I mean, it's no different ng unang lumabas ang mga internal combustion engines. They had to get fuel somewhere, and that's how the gas stations came about, right?
Noon, wala namang estasyon, hindi ba?
Exactly. So, lalo siguro, Mon, dito medyo matapang-tapang ka dahil talagang tataya ka sa sasakyan, tataya ka sa charging station. And nakikita naman namin dito sa nangyayari ngayon, talagang kailangan eh. Nakakaawa na rin ang ating mga kababayan. I mean, there really is no transport on the road. And then, if you talk to the transport associations naman, palugi na sila. Mon, they are not making any money, and we talk to them, ang lalaki na ng utang nila. You know, and they're nice. I mean, pag-uusap mo na, naiiyak na itong mga to that we are able to provide them with a solution like this. So it's quite exciting that we can help them.
Ano bang naging experience so far ng yung mga naging partners na ninyo, mga transport companies, no? So, they're able to run the vehicles efficiently with the charging stations that you put up? Kaya na ba na yun?
Yeah, Mon. We're doing mostly shuttles right now, servicing companies, no? At sabi nga namin, and I think this will lead into your next guest also, no? Ang sabi rin namin dito sa mga transport organization, alam nyo, kung jeep lang yan, hindi tayo magbabago, pareho pa rin ang binabiyahe nyo, hindi lahat sasakay sa inyo. Ang sasakay lang talaga, yung sanay na sumakay sa inyo. Now you have a better vehicle. It's air-conditioned, yung mga dissenting ayos na papasok sa opisina, sasakayan. And in fact, pati yung mga kliyente nating BPO na sa gabi, we could effectively run our vehicles 18 hours a day, no? Day and night shift. So kumikita sila sa umaga, kikita pa sila pag nanundo sila ng mga pag ginamit bilang shuttle para sa mga BPO sa gabi at ating gabi. No? So, nadadagdagan ang kita nilang namin lahat. So, kung ano yung kinikita nila dati, kinikwenta namin, they will end up earning more. And because we are running more hours, then we earn a decent amount also.
O sige, pero nabanggit niyo na kumikita kayong lahat, no, Freddy, but I think nabanggit niyo earlier, iba yung business model na ginagamit nyo dito, no? Hindi nyo basta binibenta lang yung yung sasakyan. Meron kayong parang revenue sharing arrangement. Paano ba? How does it work? If I were an operator, ano yung deal?
Yeah, so basically what we tell the operators now, yung sasakyan namin, may kamahalan yan, pero ang hinahabol lang namin dito, maliit na down payment, at kami na bahala maghanap ng pondo na pautang para sa inyo, no? Whether that's from us or from a third party, we make it so that yung down payment maliit lang. In fact, the government really is subsidizing that. So we give them a deal for a 200,000 down payment, 200,000 peso down payment, and the rest we figure out the financing for them. Ngayon, ang kapalit naman yan is pag nabayaran, let's say nabayaran yung loan, yung pautang in 7 years, sa kanila na nga yung sasakyan, pero tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung management agreement nila sa amin. No? So dun sa management agreement, kumakaltas kami ng porsyento galing sa kita sa pamasahe at kumakaltas rin kami ng galing sa kita sa advertising.
Sandali lang, Freddy. Ano ibig sabihin ng advertising? Paano nagkaroon ng advertising dyan sa usapan na yan?
Well, yung mga marami sa mga kumpanya rin, they want to get identified with something sustainable. So nakikita mo nakabalot yung mga sasakyan, no? So companies are willing to pay for that. And then now we're also starting dahil meron kaming TV on board, no, that you can advertise to the commuters, and because naka-mobile app rin naman kami, we are able to reach out to those commuters also. So it's a whole ecosystem.
So may aircon na, may TV pa, may mobile app, ba?
Yeah.
Napaka-digital. Sa bagay, electric naman kayo, no? We're getting questions now, Freddy, from our audience, no? From Rafael Asen. This is a kind of a technical question. Dahil electric operated ito, hindi ba nagkakaroon ng temperature issues kung sobrang init, sobrang lamig? How do you deal with that?
Yeah. Well, if you get a good battery, and ours are tier 1 batteries, it's from a company called CATL. The Philippines is actually a relatively moderate climate for EVs, no? So we can manage. Hindi naman lumalamig dito, at yung sinasabi nga natin ditong sobrang init, it's still manageable. What we have seen is, like, we have some inquiries from countries that have winters. Yun, we'll have to address that. But this one in the Philippines, we're good. We're good.
Okay. Ito naman, talagang malapit sa usapan itong viewer na ito. Si Marge Vadel, jeepney driver po ako. Ang problema po namin, masyadong mahal daw po itong EVs. Hindi po kaya ng budget namin. Then how do you respond to that observation?
We agree. Tama po ang sinasabi niya. Kaya nga dito sa programa namin, hindi namin sinisingil ng buong halaga ang aming mga jeepney operator partners. So nag-aayos lang kami, down payment lang, at kami na ang bahalang maghanap ng financing para sa inyo. At yun, ang kita na lang namin ay doon sa hatian sa pagtumatakbo na yung sasakyan. Dahil kung aasahan mo na yung jeepney operator mismo maglalabas ng pera para bumili ng electric vehicle, hindi po talaga kakayanin. So we agree with him. That's why we came up with this financing scheme.
Well, it's very interesting, Freddy, because that means that the economies or efficiencies of this operation of EVs is such that pwede kayong mag-generate ng income na pwedeng mag-share, na kayong dalawa ay, kumbaga, mas nasa maayos na kalagayan, hindi yung luging-lugi. Is that how it's running?
Hindi lang kaming dalawa, Mon, pati yung magpapautang. So we are also able to find groups who are willing to fund. Some are doing it because of their commitment to help the environment, their commitment to help the country. And so it's a win-win-win eh. No, nakakatulong ka na, kumikita ka pa. So we've created a model na yung tinatawag nga natin triple bottom line. Lahat nakikinabang dito sa ganitong klaseng negosyo. Nakakatulong pa tayo sa ating mga kasama sa jeepney sector, sa transport sector. Napapalinis natin ang environment natin, and then hopefully as we have more vehicles on the road, even the traffic situation we can fix.
Okay. Here's a question naman, mukhang environmentalist itong ating viewer na ito. From Kay Lafuente. What can you say about e-vehicle contributing more on gas emissions? No? Anong reaction mo dyan, Freddy?
On gas emissions? No, well, I'm guessing she's referring to the source, Mon. I guess this is yung pinag-usapan because ang electric vehicles natin wala pong emission to. No?
That's right.
These are zero emission vehicles. So kung ikukumpara natin sa mga ditambucho na mga internal combustion engines diyan, ay talagang ang laking ginhawa po nito para sa mga pasahero, para sa driver, para sa community, dahil walang emission po yung mga sasakyan natin.
siguro ano, but to your point, Freddy, baka naman it's really the source of the electricity, no? Baka if the source of electricity is also generated from coal,
Mhm.
hindi siya nakakabawas sa ano sa gas emissions. Pero parang ibang usapan pa 'yan eh.
Oo. But Mon, what's happening now is we're seeing more and more renewable sources of power, and like we said, um, pag pag yung source nagbago, wholesale wholesale pinalitan mo yung supply ng electricity ng transport, ang dami rin makikinabang. So we're actually making the impact bigger, and we're actually making it easier to really take out pollutants from the atmosphere. Tinanggal na namin from the transport side, from the vehicle side. So as we and as our clients migrate to more renewable sources of energy, even the source becomes completely sustainable, no? Fully renewable.
Okay, here's some more techie questions. Very simple. Gaano katagal ba i-charge yung sasakyan?
Okay, that's a great question, Mon, because it tells you how we run our business, no? So we have a fast charging vehicle, and because our chargers are 60 kilowatt chargers, we can do a complete charge in about 50 minutes. So 50 minutes is a full charge, no? But since we are running the route basically the entire day, pagdating namin sa charging station, magcha-charge lang kami 8 to 10 minutes habang naghihintay. Kung ano yung nakonsumo namin, nabawi na namin. So that's how we operate. We charge for 8 to 10 minutes on either end of the route, and then takbo na naman. So hindi kami nababakante ng 1 oras, 2 oras, yung ganon. Ano lang yan, 8 to 10 minute charging lang. Sometimes kung malayo yung tatakboy namin, 12 minutes. So, and then takbo ka na naman.
Okay. Ito naman, this is an interesting question from Kay Malupay. Paano po ang registration ito sa gobyerno? Wala na pong emission testing. Tama ba yan?
Yeah, actually dapat nga. So wala nang emission testing. We go through the same process that everyone goes through. But the emission test, you're right. Wala na yan.
Okay, at least one less test.
One less test.
Ako naman, I have a very, very, kumbaga, down-to-earth question. How was it driving an electric vehicle? Sorry, I haven't driven an EV before, so wala akong alam. Nag-shift ka pa ba ng gears o wala na itong gears? And how easy it is to drive? Ano bang experience ng mga customers ninyo?
Have you driven a golf cart, Mon?
Yeah. Oo.
Yes, it's basically basically the same. Except it's a much bigger. So wala nang shifting, wala na yan. On, off, reverse, ganyan lang yan. Forward, reverse, ganon. Very simple.
So, kumbaga, sabagay, mas madali, mas simple yung gano'n, no?
Yeah.
Ang isa lang nakikita kong problema dyan, Freddy, sobrang tahimik yung mga EVs.
Yeah.
Parang kailangan nyo ata maglagay na ng sound. But anyway, that's one of the more interesting points. Yeah. In the meantime, Freddy, I'm sorry we have run out of time. Very interesting discussion. Maraming salamat for joining us. Any final words you want to share with the audience?
Well, again, thank you, Mon, for the opportunity, no? At kami naman lang ay naniniwala na ito na ang kinabukasan talaga ng ating mga transportation dito sa Pilipinas, at kami naman ay handang tumulong sa ating mga kababayan, sa mga jeepney operators, sa ating gobyerno para malutas na itong problema na masakit para sa ating lahat, no? So again, thank you for the opportunity, Mon, and we look forward to serving the people a lot, and the Filipino commuter in more numbers in the near future.
Okay, again, maraming salamat, Mr. Freddy Tinga, President of Global Electric Transport. Thank you very much again, Freddy.
Thank you, Mon. Maraming salamat.
Okay, mga kapatid, we will take a break. Huwag po kayong umalis. We'll be right back. Welcome back mga kapatid. Tuloy tayo sa ating discussion. Ano bang gagawin? Anong pwedeng gawin para harapin itong problema ng tumataas na presyo ng gasolina, ng petrolyo, ng diesel, at yung cost of transportation? Pero hindi lang yung cost eh. Well, dahil nga sa cost siguro, ay marami sa ating mga kababayan na jeepney driver na hindi na pumapasada dahil sa medyo, kumbaga walang kwenta na hindi, kahit magtrabaho sila, wala silang mauwing kita. And ang naging problema naman ay mga commuters. Siyempre, kung nababawasan yung mga public transport, mas mahirap sumakay. Haba ang pila, siksikan talaga ng husto. So, lumalabas, tumitingkad uli yung tanong. Kung ganyan ang problema, mahirap ang transportation, not even considering the cost, hindi ba pwedeng work from home uli yung mga tao? Or at least hybrid? May araw na papasok, may araw na hindi. Kaya balikan natin itong usapan nito kasi hindi ba nung COVID, nagwo-work from home yung mga tao. Tapos bumaba yung cases ng COVID, dumadami na yung pumapasok sa opisina. Pero oops, may bagong problema katulad nito. Para pag-usapan natin itong work from home issue, we're very happy to have with us as our guest, si Mr. Jack Madrid. He is the President, CEO of the IT and Business Process Association of the Philippines, yung mga BPO in short. Good evening, Jack. Welcome to the program.
Salamat, Mon. It's good to see you again and reconnect after such a long time.
Oo nga. Well, yan ang mahirap, no? Pag dito sa COVID na to eh. Pero anyway, na at least nakaka-reconnect na tayo more often than before, no? Oh, pero how do you react to that, the brief introduction I gave in introducing the subject, Jack, no? I mean, kasi parang pabalik na yung mga tao sa opisina, hindi ba? I mean, more and more companies are asking their people to return to their offices. Then here comes this problem of transport, no? But so the question is, wala na bang papel? I mean, what is the proper role of work from home or hybrid in this kind of situation? Hindi ba makakatulong ito sa ating mga commuters?
Well, here's the thing, Mon. No? During the pandemic, unexpectedly, especially with all the lockdowns, we all had to change the way that we work. And in the case of the BPO industry, who has 1.44 million employees, we found out that we are best able to do our work even with greater productivity by working from home. We didn't expect this. Yes.
Okay.
And the whole world was really admiring the Filipino employees in the speed that we were able to transport both employees and their IT equipment, yung mga laptops and computers nila, in a matter of weeks without interrupting productivity or customer satisfaction. So this really made our country, the Philippines, and our workforce stars of the IT BPM global market.
So
this is one industry where we are the world capital.
Well, you're saying, Jack, that kasi many companies, many industries had a difficult time adjusting, no, due to sa work from home. Pero ang kwento mo, ang sinasabi mo, Jack, is that in the case of the BPO industry, you were able to make that transition very quickly.
Exactly, yes. Tama.
And why is it like that? I mean, is it something about the nature of the work?
It's the nature of the work. It is also the speed that our investors, the IT BPM companies here in the Philippines, who are mostly multinational, were able to mobilize and subsidize this shift because we are serving the Filipino workforce, Mon. We're serving 24 time zones. We work 24 hours a day, serving all many markets across different industries. So that kind of speed and flexibility is important, and the Pinoys are very famous for that. We call the the agility and resilience of Pinoy IT BPM workers.
Okay, before we continue, Jack, I just want to remind our viewers, no, kung meron po kayong mga tanong na gustong padala na nyo po, isasama na natin ito dito sa discussion with Mr. Jack Madrid. Now, Jack, okay, very interesting that this was actually in a way a positive turn of events for the BPO industry. No? But didn't you run into problems like other companies or other industries nagkaroon sila ng problema sa remote work na number one, ano tawag nito, nawawala na yung, nablur yung dividing line between work and and home life, no? Nasi-stress out yung mga tao dahil tuloy-tuloy yung pagtrabaho, walang katapusan, no? Didn't you run into those kinds of problems too?
Not really, Mon. Our industry works in shifts. There are very definite schedules that our employees follow. So, in fact, the opposite happened. The productivity increased because of less mental stress, and that mental stress was mostly from, based on the previous discussion of Freddie and his great transport project. Less mental stress from commuting. I mean, when you are with your family, and many of our employees won't have to take care of their children. Half our workforce, or almost half others with kids at home, or people taking care of their lolos and lolas or grandparents or parents. Having family time was the other silver lining of the pandemic, while also being able to work from home.
Sa bagay, now that you mentioned the commuting issue there, Jack, no, because what? Minimum 2 hours?
2 hours, yes.
No? 3
In some
hours.
cases, more.
Oo. So yun ang nawawala sa kababiyahe. Yun ang pwede mong gamitin ngayon, at least for something else. Kasama na dyan yung pamilya mo. Okay. But how is it now, Freddie? Because the government has been pushing the BPO companies to go back to their to full workforce in their offices, so that they can continue to avail of the tax benefits and incentives. No, so how are companies taking this? We heard some of them have given up their incentives, but others are also still returning to work. So ano nangyayari ngayon?
So alam mo, Mon, the tax issue is just part of a very complex set of issues. Tax is one. But from my association's point of view, what we're talking about here is really the future of work. Personal view ko lang, we're not going to go back 100%. Okay. I think the future is already happening. And I think it's all about flexibility, allowing our Filipino workforce to have, when we listen to our employees, and we've done many surveys, as much as 80 to 90% really prefer a hybrid environment. Hindi naman 100%, but right now the average is about, I would say we're doing 60-40 to 70-30. 60 or 70 is from home. And I think that kind of balance, for each one is different, right? But that kind of balance is probably something that will be acceptable sa majority of our companies.
Well, hindi lang sa Pilipinas yan, because I've read na in many other countries worldwide na lalo na sa mga kabataan. Pag nag-offer ka ng trabaho na, sige, ito flexi work, ito naman kailangan 100% nasa opisina ka. Mga 70-80% ng mga kabataan will pick the flexi work. Ganun ba rin ang sentimento ng mga Pilipino? Young people? I'm sorry.
This is not limited to Philippines lang. I mean, this is a global phenomenon. This is the future of work. And I think the BPO industry, being the largest employer of Filipinos, the biggest industry, is very visible because we're in the middle of this issue. But it goes beyond the issue of tax. We're talking about giving the employees flexibility so that they can, do work even better. And more importantly, because, the biggest problem of our industry, Mon, is
Mm.
attrition. Because this is
Oh,
very stressful work. We have the highest attrition rates of, you know, probably in counting most industries. And so this is a risk to the industry because there's much more demand for talent than supply. And so part of my job is really to enable regulations to allow more flexibility so that we can increase the supply of Filipino jobs to service
mhm,
the world.
mhm.
And so I think if we can address attrition, then we can even increase the number of jobs that we can provide, the Pinoy employees.
Pero Jack, are you saying that itong issue of work from home or flexi work or hybrid is a material issue na pinag-iisipan ng mga tao kaya nagiging bahagi yan ng attrition why people leave jobs?
Tama.
Tama ba?
80 to 90% have told us already through various surveys that if an employer cannot offer work from home, they will seriously consider resigning. This is part of the great resignation phenomenon.
Oh. Akala ko sa US lang yun, hindi pala.
It's a global thing, Mon.
Oh, okay, okay. Pero okay, but let's look at it from another angle naman. Kasi ang balita ko, I've been reading that for example, India, the other large
Yes.
BPOs country in the world, no, have made nagdesisyon na sila that they're gonna shift to a more flexi work arrangement. Uh, First of all, tama ba yan? Is that also your understanding of the situation? And if that's the case, will that pose a competitive problem for the BPO industry here in the Philippines?
Yeah, yes and no, Mon. And
Mm.
I say yes because there are many companies who have operations in both India and the Philippines. So
Okay.
it's easier to do business in India because of more flexible law. Then they'll move more business to India. So
Mm.
that's why
Mm.
it's partly yes, but it's also no because there's so much demand from North America, from Europe, for work to be done offshore. This is
Mhm.
also part of what happened during the pandemic. Um, Alam mo, we're a young country. We have a
Okay.
demographic advantage compared to North America, Europe, Japan, who have aging populations, no? So with the pandemic experience where the Philippines and India proved to the world that many of the jobs that they were giving us were able to be done by working from home, that demand for Pinoy talent even went up. That's why we grew 145,000 jobs during the pandemic. That's a big
Mm.
number.
Yes.
145,000.
Oo. I mean,
I
while the
can't think
rest,
of any other
some,
industry that can say that.
oh nga, I was about to say, many industries were forced,
Went
to
down.
either stop or go down in terms of job generation, no? Oh, but okay. Now, you mentioned something kanina, Jack, that I want to return to now. Demand is larger than supply.
Correct.
You know, medyo, well, that's a problem, but in a way, it's a happy problem, hindi ba, Jack?
It's an opportunity that we must
Oh,
take as a country. And that's why I've been pushing for this flexible work from home environment so that we can
mm,
supply the world with more Filipino workers and
uh-huh,
jobs.
uh-huh.
This is
No,
about creating jobs, Mon.
okay, but when you say that demand is greater than supply, uh, isn't there also parang sinasabi mo na, oops, we need to train more people to do this kind of
Yes,
work or give them the
yes,
skills, no? Ganun
yes.
ba ang sitwasyon?
That's an even better problem to have. I'd rather have the problem of training rather than, arguing for retaining tax incentives or changing the law.
Mm,
I think, I and I think the threat of all of this is that it's not just India and the Philippines anymore, Mon. We have emerging competitors now, such as
Ah,
Poland and Malaysia and South Africa, who are now getting into IT BPM. It's not just India and the Philippines anymore. So that's really the risk.
okay, okay. Now we're starting to get questions, Jack. Let's start putting them on. Uh, Here's one from Jay Valencia. Ang hirap po kasi sa work from homes as BPO industry. Minsan, nag-overhire sila. Tapos, sa hybrid setup, pagbalik mo sa work, wala ka ng upuan na station. I'm not sure if I understand. How do you respond to that, Jake?
Well,
To that question?
I think I understand it. I think this is a question of schedule shifting, and,
Okay.
and making sure that employees are scheduled when there is adequate physical capacity. The question might refer to the fact that maybe there are some companies that may have given up office space
Mm-hmm.
during the pandemic, because everyone was still paying rent, even when we were working from home.
Mm-hmm.
So inevitably, some companies may have reduced their office space, but this was very insignificant compared to the other industry, the online gaming industry, that basically left the country.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So,
Well, here's another question from Blake Sanchez, Jack. Nung nagtatrabaho ako ng work from home bilang online teacher, pag na-disconnect po yung internet ko, may kailangan akong bayarang penalty. Ganon din rin ba po sa BPO? Paano pag nawala ako ng internet sa gitna ng trabaho? Anong mangyayari sa akin? It's a practical question.
that's a good question, and depending on the nature of the BPO work, that some compensation schemes are based on the time spent online, that you
Mhm.
are that you are actually connected, and so there might be an effect in the case of poor connectivity, which one highlights another issue aside
Mm.
from the talent issue that I talked about, demand being higher than supply, the need
Oh.
for PLDT and Globe and the other telcos to continue to strengthen digital infrastructure, no?
Mhm.
Kasi this is another, similar to the transport issue also. The cost of internet connectivity in the Philippines is not low,
Mhm.
and it's not competitive compared to smaller countries. So this is another thing I want to highlight, and this is really important kasi
Mm.
during the pandemic, almost 30% of our workforce moved to the countryside.
Oh.
And this is a good thing, Mon, kasi there's a lot of talent in the provinces. We have a lot of good schools in the provinces.
Okay. Okay.
Allowing our employees to go back to their hometowns to be with their
Mhm.
families is a good
Mhm.
thing,
Mm.
right? With less commuting time, less stress, higher productivity,
Mhm.
lower attrition. I'm a big fan and promoter of countryside development. I recently went on a tour of the Visayas, Mon, and I saw
Mhm.
very positive trends in cities like Iloilo, Bacolod, and Dumaguete.
That's right.
The growth
Yeah, yeah.
of BPO industries there.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So, but
Well,
but we need internet connectivity across our archipelago.
okay. No, well, that's one thing, no? Improving the internet. The other thing is working from home. Mas malapit ka sa mga beach at saka mas masarap ang pagkain. Anyway, here's another one from Rona Santos. Okay, Jack. Paano mangyayari sa mga this one is a question from the other side naman, from the other point of view. Paano mangyayari sa mga opisinang na mababakante kapag nag-work from home na halos lahat? Eh di lugi ang mga business na mga real estate and other business, mga retail. Kaya nila pinipilit ibalik sa office ang mga BPO at ibang mga kumpanya. How do you react to that observation, Jack?
This is a very good question, and the way I'd like to answer it is, I think I think the first thing is, the more flexible our work laws are, the higher the supply of talent we can provide, the more jobs we will create. And
Mhm.
so I think maybe sa short term or the medium term, maybe there will not be an increase in property occupancy. But in the long term, because we will have more jobs by having this flexibility, the
Mm.
demand for real estate will continue to go up. And the IT BPM industry is the largest user of office space,
Aha.
not just in Manila, but you know throughout our country, even as far as Davao and
Mhm.
Cagayan de Oro. We are
Mhm.
the largest absorber of office space. Now, on the point of the economic impact, right, to other industries, my response is that sure, the retail outlets in the office, in some office buildings, will have less foot traffic with work from home. But that, I think, is a temporary phenomenon, because that foot traffic will come back once we are able to supply jobs, no, for the demand that I talked about. But the other thing is this:
Mm.
our employees still have to eat, even when working from home, and they're getting food from their neighbors. Buying food from their neighborhood
Okay.
area, right? And I
Mm.
think we should also include that as part of the economic impact of our workers.
Okay. Okay. Now, given what you've been discussing, Jack, no, kasi parang ano eh, I'm sensing that there are longer term implications dito sa sinasabi mo mga trends eh. Number one, mukhang the technology, the connectivity and technology part of this is being in large part solved. You've developed the techniques already, hindi ba, to support people working from home.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
what about things like security, digital security? How are you addressing that kind of question that they say customers will raise?
That's a good question also, Mon, because some of our customers, especially banks,
Mm,
and healthcare companies,
yes. Oh.
uh, are a bit less comfortable and
Mhm.
concerned about privacy of data
Mhm.
when it is accessed outside on site.
Yeah.
So yung mga segments that I mentioned, no, like that, are probably better done on site.
Okay.
So there's no one size fits all. The BPO industry has many different segments, um, and I think there needs to be a distinction, because I don't expect 100% on site, but I also don't expect 100% work from home. We need to
Mhm.
strike a balance. Whether it's 60-40 or 70-30 will depend on the customers, will depend on the employer, and also will depend on the employee. So it's a very interesting and complex situation. But I think at this point in the history of work, I think the leverage is with the employee. So I support listening to the voice of the employee, because they're the ones who perform the work. And
Mm.
by the way, they are in short supply relative to the demand for Filipino workers to do these jobs. So we really need to listen to our employees.
Mabigat yung sinasabi mo, Jack. No? I mean, I don't hear that often, no? That the leverage is on the side of the employees, no? But that's because of, ang sinasabi mo, Jack, is because of the extraordinary demand that this overall global situation has created na marami talagang hinahanap na Filipino
Correct.
BPO workers. Ganun ang,
Tama.
okay,
Tama.
okay. Well, now,
But Mon, I just want to say
oh,
this. It's really a very big and loaded statement. Kasi during the pandemic, what has happened unexpectedly, because especially in our industry, is the democratization of work. We can now okay, employ even senior citizens if we allow this kind of work flexibility. Because,
Oh,
they're at home. They can be productive. We have
uh,
seen it.
so pwede ako mga senior citizen na ano? Oh, sige, sige. Akala ko puro kabataan lang ang kinukuha
Yeah,
ninyo.
yeah. You'd be a bit overqualified siguro, Mon, but sure. Sure thing.
Ba, kaya ko din yun na, I think, anyway, sige. But what you're, the sense I'm getting from the drift of this discussion, Jack, is that, parang wala nang balikan doon sa dating estilo ng pagtatrabaho.
Future is already happening, and it's going to be hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, we will not grow. The industry in the Philippines will not grow because everyone is doing it. Going back to India, they have the same economic zones as us. We have PEZA here. PEZA has been a great champion for our industry in growing investments and investors. India has the same economic zones, and they're already changing their laws, decoupling tax incentives from work from home. They're already ahead. We need to catch up with India.
Okay. Well, there's a new government in place, no? I think you're gonna have to get your voice to
Yes,
reach
we
the
have
whole.
started it, and it looks promising, Mon.
Well, because this will have to be a congressional action, di ba, Jack? Because the laws that you're talking about were passed by Congress, so any revision or amendments will have to be a congressional act, right?
Yes, that's right.
What feedback are you getting from our new members of Congress or new
I,
old
I
members?
I think the message, the first message that I like to always deliver is how indispensable the IT BPM industry as an economic pillar to our economy. I think that's the first thing. I think we really need to internalize this. 1.5 million jobs,
Okay.
30 billion US dollars, 7% of GNP. I mean, this
Mhm.
this this is very significant, and I think we have the potential to increase to 2.5 million jobs in the next 6 years.
Oh, okay. Well, interesting. Well, on that, upbeat note, thank you, Jack, for joining us tonight, and sharing all of those insights and information. Any last words you want to share?
Maraming salamat mo. It's really been a pleasure, and I love to talk about our industry, and I think your show with all your sizable audience. I hope they realize how important a time this is for our country,
Hmm.
and the need for thinking of work in a slightly different way. With the transportation and commuting issues being solved, hopefully by companies like Freddie, we are also creating a healthier environment, lower carbon footprint. But most importantly for me is really the ability to spread, the wealth coming from the IT BPM industry throughout the country, because countryside development is one of the secret weapons for us to grow the industry moving forward. Salamat, Mon.
Okay. Maraming salamat, Mr. Jack Madrid. Siya po ay President and CEO of the IT and Business Process Association of the Philippines, or IBPAP. Okay,
IBPAP.
maraming salamat.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to our guests, and thank you to you, mga kapatid. Thank you for joining us tonight. Sana po ay marami po kayong natuto. This is a very complex situation. Marami pang kailangan gawin, at sana makatulong itong mga hakbang na pinag-uusapan natin ngayong gabi. In the meantime, laging tandaan po na malaki po ang pakinabang ng mga gadgets, pero sandali. Most important, think before you click. Ako po ulit si Mon Isberto, ang inyong tech lolo. Magandang gabi mula sa amin dito. Sorry, na-distract ako. Merong nakita bigla. Magandang gabi po mula dito sa amin dito sa Teka Muna, at kami po ang 1PH Teleservisyo para sa Pilipinas.